What's up everyone, this is John the Skate Better, and today we are doing the Andale Swiss bearings review. Thank you all so much for being patient. I'm still busy getting settled, so I haven't been posting quite as frequently, but I will continue to do reviews and trick tips and other things when I can. So last video, I know the setup was a little chaotic. I'm trying something different this time. It's kind of like my wife's space that she uses for her workout videos and stuff, so hopefully this will be better and cleaner. The only thing I'm not sure about is the audio. It's a little echoey in this small room, but hopefully it works out. So just know that I'm still trying things. I'm still trying to get the best setup that I possibly can for y'all, and it just might take me a few times to figure that out. So a couple reviews I have coming up, just so you know. I will be reviewing this Enjoy 8.5 deck very soon. I just picked up this sweet quasi deck because everyone's having a sale for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So it's an 8.5, got it at my local skate shop, Andrew, in downtown Miami. And I can't wait to skate it. It looks really fun. It's got like a shovel nose, similar to a hockey kind of thing, but with a little bit less pitch. And then I'm gonna be reviewing these Suede Nike Blazers. So I did a review on the leather ones, and I don't know, something was calling me to come back to this shoe. I just really like the way it looked, I think, and I like the ankle protection, so I did. And I will be doing a review on this as well, and really just comparing it to the leather ones is what I want that to be. So anyways, all that stuff is coming, and today we are gonna talk about this, the Andale Swiss Pro Bearings. If you want to read about the details of this bearing, you can do that on the website. I'm not gonna go through the details. I did read through them to see if there's anything really special going on with these Swiss Pro Bearings, and there really wasn't that much. Nothing like super crazy in the description, but you can read it if you want to. So a couple things interesting to note about these bearings. If you want, you can check out the deck setup video, and they are a white bearing, and they come with a few things. So they come with these red nuts, so if you need extra nuts to go on your trucks, those are there. They come with bearing spacers, which I did try. And then they come with, I wasn't sure what these were at first, these little rings, but these are actually little shields. So if you lose your shields, pop your shields, whatever, you want them to look really clean and fresh, I guess they just give you extra ones. Before I even get into how the bearings work themselves, I do want to mention, I put the bearings on, I skated them for like a week to 2 weeks, and already one or two of the shields had popped off the bearing. So I've never experienced that before, like a bearing shield just kind of popping off after like normal wear and tear. But I did have one of them pop off. Another one popped off. I decided not to fix it, and it really hasn't made any difference in the way that it's skated. So I don't know, you might think I'm crazy and that might drive some people nuts, but I just don't really care enough to change it at this point. So just something you should know. So into the actual bearing review. This is not going to be a super long review because there's not too much to talk about, right? However, I will say that a lot of bearings I know are supposed to break in, and I've never experienced that with any bearing that I've used. Basically, like most bearings, I put it on, the way that it rides right out of the box or whatever is usually how it feels for most of the skate duration. And this bearing actually broke in. So I threw these on, I skated around, they didn't feel super fast, they didn't feel super smooth, they just felt kind of like a Bones Red, but almost like even not as smooth as that. So I wasn't sure if that was the bearing spacers getting situated, the bearing itself breaking in, but what I will say is after the first, I want to say 2 sessions, literally it was like the first 2 sessions, I did notice they felt smoother and they did seem to go faster. And I rode them on a couple different surfaces, and I do feel like they performed a little bit better. So if there was ever a bearing that needed to break in from my experience, this would be that bearing. And it did, which was nice. So let's get into the real question. Basically, the only thing that there is to review in a bearing is, do they last? How fast do they roll compared to other bearings, right? I will say that these bearings have lasted very, very well. I do have to say, I know that they're like Swiss rated and they look like really fancy and all this stuff, but I will say that they're lasting. I've had these bearings for months. I'd say like, I think 4 months now would be accurate, and they're great. I haven't had any issues. Nothing's gotten in them that's stopped them from working. I did like dig it into a little sand pile once at one of the skate parks that I skate at. No problems with the bearing there. It's been through a few puddles. Haven't put any lubrication or anything on the bearings because I really wanted to test them. No issues. But once again, I would say that they do actually perform very well. Let's talk about speed. As far as speed and smoothness of the bearing, it's so hard to tell, right? Because you have wheels. I just feel like there's other things that can kind of affect that and like how you feel in a bearing. What I will say though is like they didn't feel the greatest when I first put them on. I was like, really? Considering the price, which I'll get to later. But I was like, really? And then after they broke in, I was like, okay, I get it. They're smooth, they last. I would compare these very similar to actually the Bohm's Big Balls. If you've ever skated those, had experience with that, they're like a little bit smoother and faster from Reds, but not quite as fast as Bohm's Swiss. I took them up ramps, down ramps, up hills, down hills, didn't really notice that much of a difference. So let's get into the final thing, is the price too, right? I think with a bearing, it's very important to discuss price because you can get a really good bearing for like 20 bucks, 25 bucks. I mean, Bohm's Reds, those are gonna go, they're gonna last you. So these bearings, I paid $44 for. That's full price of the bearing. They also now are on sale for about, I think 35, 36 bucks. If I'm being truly honest, even though they come with spacers, even though they come with extra shields, which I haven't used, I don't think I would pay 45 bucks for these bearings. I would almost like just pay a little bit more and get the Swiss, which are gonna last you like years and just feel a little bit smoother and a little bit faster. But I will say they are a pretty solid bearing. I didn't have any issues with them. But once again, for me, anything more in a bearing costing like 30 to 40 bucks, I think it needs to be special. Like it needs to have some special factor because you're not really doing that much. I mean, it just needs to roll around and not get crazy loaded with dirt and friction and things like that, which I think most bearings will do. Two other things I want to discuss really quickly. One is the shield. So when I first put them on, it's like a crisp, white looking bearing, and that they got so dirty after even just like the first session. Like after the very first session, it looked like this. They were just super gunky. Every single bearing, I don't know if you guys can see that, but every single bearing is just like really gross, really dirty. And I have to say that's pretty normal for bearings, but I think because they're white, it just looks worse for some reason. I'm not gonna be changing the shields on my bearings just because they get dirty. To me, like that's too much. Some people might like that look. I don't really care enough to do that. I will say it's nice that it comes with spacers. It's nice that it comes with extra nuts. I feel like maybe that's a little bit of extra cost right there for you. It's like a lovely little package that it comes in as well. Like it looked really nice, which is why I was like, ooh, it looks fancy. I want to try it. But overall, what you pay, what you get. I don't know if I would necessarily do it again. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the bearing spacers, because I've never used bearing spacers before. Do I feel a difference? Do I feel like they matter? To be honest, I don't. Maybe there's something that I need to be doing with them to be able to experience the difference in that, but I have the bearing spacers in all of these right now. I don't really feel a difference. It doesn't feel like it's smoother, it doesn't feel like it does anything. Maybe if I took them out and tried the bearings without, I would notice a difference, but I don't really care enough to do that. I'm just gonna kind of leave my thoughts there. So overall, would I buy Andale Pro Swiss bearings again? For the cost, I would not. If they were 20 bucks, I would get them over Bohm's Reds. I think they are a little bit faster and a little bit smoother of a bearing. I'm gonna leave my thoughts there. If you've ever tried Andale bearings or another bearing that you think I should try, please let me know in the comments. I appreciate you all being patient with these reviews. I do my best to make them thorough and get them out when I can, but just know that I really appreciate all of you, all the love, all the comments. It's what keeps me going and doing it. So thank you all so much. Take care, see you next time.